In December, I announced our decision to conduct an independent third-party review of our football training policies as well as our adherence to those policies. We hired Mike Glazier, head of the Collegiate Sports Practice Group for the law firm of Bond, Shinnick, and King in Kansas City to lead this review. During the past 3 months, the university has fully cooperated with Mike. At my direction, all university personnel and records have been made available to him. Mike delivered his report to us yesterday, and the recommendations are his alone. Before Mike reports his findings, I want to revisit 2 points I made in December. First, I said I expected Mike's review to ultimately strengthen the sports medicine and training aspects of our football program. Thanks to Mike's professionalism and dedication to his task, I am today confident that our program will be even stronger because of his review. In fact, some of his recommendations extend beyond football to potentially strengthen our entire athletics program. Second, I said UCF was committed to making the results of this review open to the public. We followed through on that promise, and Mike's entire report is available now at www.ucf.edu. I encourage anyone who is interested in Mike's review to go online and read it. I strongly believe this review demonstrates the commitment of our coaches, trainers, and support staff to ensuring the health and well-being of our student athletes. With that comment and with the recommendations, with that commitment and with the recommendations that Mike makes in his review, I'm confident that the well-being of our student athletes remains our top priority. Now, Mike Glazier.
Thank you, Dr. Hitt. As Dr. Hitt said, back on December 11, I was charged by the university and by his office to conduct a thorough, in-depth review of the current training policies and procedures as they apply to the football program here at the university. I was asked to compare my findings there against best practices or industry standards in Division I, and finally to offer recommendations for enhancements if they're needed. What I was not charged with was to investigate specific past events, and I have not done that. But since receiving that charge, myself and my staff have gathered and reviewed a large volume of resource materials, both internal and external. Internally, we looked at all the practice and conditioning programs, schedules, other related materials. We looked at policies and procedures manuals, staff manuals, various items like that, and they're all detailed in the report. Externally, as far as the materials that we started with NCAA legislation. We looked at guidelines set out by the NATA, the National Association, or National Athletic Trainers Association, and other similar type organizations to help get know what the standards are in the industry. We also conducted interviews. Internally, we talked to student athletes. In fact, we talked to all, I believe the number was 77 of the current members of the football team as of some date in January. We talked to some of the football coaches. We talked to the athletic trainers. We talked to the team physicians. We talked to the members of the strength and conditioning staffs. And we talked to many of the senior members of the athletics administration. I think altogether we conducted interviews in the range of just short of 100 individuals. Externally, we also went out and visited with people in comparable positions, athletic trainers, sports medicine types, at institutions around the country. Primarily in the South, but some in other parts of the country, just to get a standard to compare what's going on in this program with those other programs. One of the conditions that I set with those people when I went out to interview them, and it was in an effort to get as candid information as we could, is that we kind of agreed that we would not reveal the other people that we talked to out there, so I won't be able to share that with you, but I can tell you that we talked to a number of people around the country. In terms of the areas of review, we looked at the administration of the in-season and out-of-season football practices and the strength and conditioning sessions. We looked at the role, the presence, and the reporting lines of the University of Central Florida sports medicine staff as it relates to the university's athletics and football programs. including the staff's existing policies and procedures. We looked at the issue of communication. That seemed to be a hot topic for people in the athletic, sports medicine, and training areas. We looked at the communication that exists here between the student athletes, the coaches, the strength coaches, the training staffs, and the administration. We tried to look at the overall monitoring of the student athletes' physical well-being. You know, examples in that area would be hydration, nutrition, the physical demands. And we also took a look at the UCF sports medicine emergency action plans. And after doing all that, we delivered this report that has been made available to you. It's 24 pages long. I would encourage you, all of you, at the appropriate time to take a careful look at that, because I think the report will answer most of the questions that you have. But there's also been an executive summary prepared. You'll see in the report and in the executive summary, we made some observations, and then we finished with recommendations. And I want to talk at this time, just highlight a couple of the two or three of the observations that we made about the program, and then I'll get into the recommendations that we're making for improvements. As far as the observations, with regard to the football conditioning program, we found that it's quite rigorous. We also found that it's well within the range of similar programs at the types of conditioning programs that exist at other Division I football playing institutions. Overall, I found a source and a sense of dedication to the student-athlete well-being here at the University of Central Florida in the football program. We found that the trainers and the team doctors are the ones who determine both the practice and the game status of student-athletes. We found many examples where the head coach appears to be very respectful of the decisions made by the trainers and the team physicians with regarding to student-athlete status for practice and competition. And we found that there's a good working relationship between the coaching staff and the trainers and the team doctors. We also found that there seems to be very regular and good communication between the trainers, the doctors, and the coaching staff. And finally, we found that the facilities here at the University of Central Florida are certainly of a high quality. There were a couple of areas that we learned that I would put in the exceptional category. And those areas are that one of the things that happens here at the University of Central Florida that we found doesn't happen at many other institutions, and some of the other people that we talked to commented favorably on this aspect of the program. But it is that here at the university, when freshmen or incoming transfers are brought into the program, before the season, there's a conditioning period. It's during the summer B session, the academic session. But at many institutions, as soon as freshmen and transfers come in, they're thrown in with the upperclassmen in their activities. And whether they're expected to or not, they feel the pressure to keep up with the people who've already been in the training program for quite a time. Here at the University of Central Florida, those freshmen and incoming student athletes are held out and put in their own group for that first summer B session so that they can acclimate themselves to the rigors of the program at their own pace. And that was a positive and something that was commented on positively by the other trainers that we talked to around the country. One of the other things that's being done here at the University of Central Florida right now is that at each physical activity session, whether it's a practice session or a conditioning session or a weight session, there's a certified athletic trainer present in the room or on the field at each one of those sessions. And at some of the other institutions we talked to, that it indicated to us that that's probably above standard here, that many times those are just staffed by student trainers, particularly when it's a conditioning type session. So that was an exceptional area that we found here at the university. Now, when you look at a program of this scope and magnitude, obviously there are things that you see that can identify areas where the program could be even further strengthened than what it already is. And that's really what the university was looking for. And so we've made a number of recommendations, and this time I'll try and go through each one of those. I won't give you a lot of background. The background for the recommendations, it's all in the report, but if you do have specific questions about them after I finish, I'll be happy to field those questions. Our first recommendation here is that there be an increased involvement within the athletics, or increase the involvement of the athletics administration into the day-to-day operations of the university's sports medicine and training program. And one of the suggestions we've made there is to perhaps elevate the status of the head trainer so that that person actually sits on the athletic director's cabinet level and is involved in more frequently in the overall decisions and discussions within the athletics department, and it gives feedback both ways, but we thought that would be a good idea. Similar to that, we suggest that the university examine and possibly restructure the team physicians' reporting responsibilities. Right now, the team physicians have a lot of communication with the trainer and the coach. Communication, there could be more frequent communication with the Central Athletics Administration. So we're looking at that and encouraging the university to maybe take some steps in that area. We are recommending that the university consider the creation of an on-campus office to be staffed by team doctors. You know, it doesn't have to be 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day or whatever, but having doctors here on campus on a basis where their hours are known and it's on a regular basis. We see that at many other institutions. Most of those institutions where that occurs also have a medical facility on campus, so it makes that a little bit easier. And this will be something that the university will have to examine their own budgetary limitations there in that area, but it would be an area where the program could be further enhanced if that was the case. Right now, the team doctors are very accessible, but their offices are not on campus. Whenever a student needs to go and visit a doctor, and it's not during a period of time when the doctors are here on campus, one of the trainers has to take that student to the doctor's office, and there's time lost away from campus when that occurs. Currently, the head trainer provides a daily verbal report, and oftentimes it's multiple reports on a daily basis to the team doctors. We're recommending that those reports be put in writing each day so that there's a good record kept of those. We are recommending that the university either look at reassignment of responsibilities or the addition of a staff person. Currently, the university has 3 full-time certified athletic trainers dedicated to the football program. Today, in the studies that you see, there's a suggestion that the national average is probably closer to 4. And particularly with the team doctors officing off campus, we think it would help the program if there were 4 full-time certified athletic trainers devoted to the football program. Along those same lines, and I've touched on this, but it's the idea of excuse me, I'd already mentioned that about the moving the doctors at least to some specified hours on campus. Currently, the head football athletic trainer meets with the head coach on a daily basis to give the coach a report on the condition and the health condition of each individual student athlete, so that the coach is aware if 1 or 2 athletes have certain limitations placed on them for that day in the workout sessions, and it's the coach's responsibility to pass that information on to the specific position coaches. We're recommending that the head athletic trainer actually come into the coaches' meeting each day. You see that on some campuses in some programs, and deliver the training report to the entire staff. And what that'll do is have each position coach that's actually working with those student athletes in their individual drills. We can be certain that they're aware of any individual limitations on those athletes for those days. One of the final areas that we looked at is the area of nutrition, and that seems to be a hot area in athletics training these days. The staff here at the University of Central Florida has access to a nutritionist. We recommend that they take a look at bringing a nutritionist on board on a regular basis. It doesn't have to be a full-time basis, but somebody who is dedicated to the athletics program, who on the front end of it would work with education of student athletes about the value of proper nutrition, and on the tail end of it, setting up individual nutrition plans for the student athletes. That service is available to them now, but it's more on an if requested basis. We think that should be something that's provided whether the student athletes request it or not. And finally, currently the sports medicine and athletic training staff conduct on a biannual basis, meaning every 2 years, sessions with the local EMTs, Emergency Action Plan. Many institutions do that on an annual basis. We think it's a good idea to do it on an annual basis, so we're recommending that that be done on a more frequent basis. As I said, I think the report will give you more background into those recommendations. Overall, just in conclusion for me, before I take any questions or anyone else here has anything to say, I wanted to tell you that that our concluding statement to the university is that our overall finding is that the university's football practice and conditioning programs, its sports medicines, policies, procedures, and practices are more than adequate and are within industry standards. The monitoring of student-athlete health, safety, and well-being is on par with or comparable to other institutions. So with that, Grant, that's
last December, I said when we mentioned we were going to have a third-party evaluation, I welcome that evaluation because as head football coach, you're responsible for all areas of your program, and anything that we can do better, I'm always want to know about that and try to improve. And I'm not surprised at all on the summary, and that's all I have read to date. I haven't read the full report because I've been doing this for many years, and we're always looking to better ourselves any way we can, and I will take the recommendations that Mike did make and visit with the administration and athletic department to see if we can improve ourselves and help ourselves in many ways what took place. But again, I thank Mike for the evaluation. I think anytime you bring a third party in with the reputation that he has in the country, that you're welcome to see what we're doing is the right thing. And again, as I stated earlier, I'm not surprised at the summary. And again, it validates what we're doing and continue to move on with the program that we run and try to improve it with the current suggestions for recommendations in the future. Thank you.